I really should be using. Jim, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tina? Thank you for fixing
Yep,
that.
I can hear you.
All right, sounds good. I use the Realtek Auto microphone array instead of the Meeting Owl microphone.
Okay, I would like to call the Village of Landon Village Board meeting to order for Monday, August 10th, 2026 at 7:02 p.m. Everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a reminder, if everyone would please silence their phones, so we don't have any interruptions, I would appreciate that. Roll call, Batiste.
Present.
Grenier.
Here.
Lake.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Summers.
Here.
Willard.
Here.
And Yates is present. Statement of public notice.
Been posted.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action on the reading correction and approval of the minutes from the 7/13/26 village board meeting. Did anyone have any corrections?
I don't have a correction, I just had a question. I just had a question on item 21, when we reconvened into open session, we had to do a motion to go into that, correct?
From closed.
From a closed session,
Right.
but it doesn't state anything in there that we did.
No, because that was in post,
Okay,
so. We didn't do, there was no action taken when we came back into open.
thank you.
Okay, barring any other notice of changes, I'm going to move that we approve the Village of Landon minutes from the 7/13/26 meeting.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports, finance and personnel.
We will cover in item 15.
Thank you. Legislative.
Okay, so I am anticipating that at the September meeting, I will request that we schedule a legislative committee meeting to discuss two actions, one of which is an ordinance related to e-bikes and other electric assist vehicles, and then another ordinance related to solicitation within the village.
Great, thank you, Jim. Parks and Rec and Beautification.
yes, I'd like to remind everyone that this Wednesday night is the National Night Out for the Landon Police Department. It will be at Jake's Park between 5 and 8 p.m. And then also a reminder that coming up September 12th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. is the 3K awareness walk for hope and healing that will also be taking off from the park.
Great, thank you. Public safety.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Public Works, Recycling, Sewer.
The skated project is ongoing, no new updates from what we had reported in the months and previous. The Bonnie Lane Road, we had a public meeting for that last week on the 5th of August. Takeaway from that was to be more proactive on communication out to the residents. So the village took that to heart, and we will be more diligent about that communication moving forward. That construction progress did start today. It's about a 2-month duration, so it should be wrapping up early October to mid-October, weather permitting. First 3 or 4 weeks we'll be doing the water system work, and the pavement of it will come up in October. The Good Hope Road reconstruction project is on the agenda for tonight. There will be a public information meeting for that on August 25th. There'll be some more communication that comes out through the Facebook group, as well as noticed out and some signs in the near future. We are still targeting 2028 for the construction schedule for the Good Hope Road reconstruction project. There will be some tree cutting performed by the village subcontractor, probably on 8/23, on some private property as well as public property. So that's gonna be a Sunday, weather permitting, on or around that 23rd of August. And then the village also, over the past few months, has received some communication, some concerns, some comments in regards to water quality. We did have some meetings in the months past with Mid-City to look into that. We did find a consultant, a proposal from a consultant that could do some further testing, investigation onto that. So it'll take some time for that report to be completed, that study to be completed, and then that will be available upon completion. Nothing further to report.
Great, thank you, Dan. Corey,
If
No
he was
news.
involved with drugs, there could easily end up in some shooting.
Okay, I am going to ask some people to mute here. Okay, please continue. Yep.
all right, department reports, clerk's office, got anything going on?
No, nothing. We have an election tomorrow. The polls will open at 7 AM and be open until 8 PM. Utility bills are due, they were due today, bring them when you come to vote, whatever. And we will be starting to look at budgets in the next few weeks, so be ready. That's all I got.
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Police department,
Good evening, Officer Chen standing in for Chief Schlein. The monthly report has been distributed. We do want to remind everyone that school is going to be starting soon. St. John's is August 22nd, and Lannon Elementary, September 2nd. The Lannon Car Show was successful. An after-action report is forthcoming. We also participated in the Culver's Lights of Christmas event, which was also successful in raising money for less fortunate families. Tomorrow is the burn camp for the National Firefighters Association in New Berlin, and we do have a motor officer that is assisting with traffic control and escort. And as mentioned, Wednesday is our National Night Out at Jack's Park. And then we have the next upcoming is that 3K Hope Healing Walk on September 12th. That's all.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is response to previous citizen comments. It didn't look like there was anything that required any comments or responses. So we'll move on to number 9, citizen comments. I think this is Janet and Jim. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I thought it was just signing in.
Oh, no.
Well, now you have to say something.
All right, it's noted that Janet's here. And Jen. You include Jim.
Welcome to the board meeting.
Thank you for coming. You're now famous. All right, Lorraine Marshall.
Right there. I had a comment,
You can remain seated.
okay, I just wondered, I've lived here for 27 years. And there's been so many changes, of course. And that's of course progress, but, I'm concerned that we don't have a police chief anymore. And I wonder, are we gonna, actually get one again?
We do have
We
Chief
just have-
Brad Schley. He's doing an outstanding job, yes.
Oh, okay, cause I was here not too long ago and they said that, we didn't have one.
No, we do.
Okay.
We did not have a lapse in that transition.
I see. Okay, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other citizen comments? Yes, sir.
Not wearing a white t-shirt, no good reason. It's been mentioned before, our walk. The 12th. To me, it's very important. When our community was 900 people, we lost 2 business owners to suicide. 5 adult children overdose, 3 of them fentanyl related. This is something last year, even though we had a downpour first thing in the morning, we still had over 30 vendors there. Just a little food for thought. The first meeting, young lady came up, grabbed my arm, talked to her. I walked her over to one of the support groups. Couple years later, my wife was in the hospital, nursing home, somewhere in that time, because my head was not in its place. Young lady came up, grabbed me by my arm. Said, "Do you remember me?" "No, ma'am, I don't." She said, "You took time to talk to me at that walk. I'm here today because you took some time." Every one of us here has got 2 ears. Did I plan on doing anything like that? No. I listened to her, I walked her over there. This walk has grown in size. It's very important. Near and dear to me, if anybody needs anything, I have more flyers here, sponsor fees. Less exciting thing, Fire Department Citizens Academy. I went last year. I was a volunteer first responder 50 years ago. It was one hell of an education. It is free to all Lannon and Falls. You get your CPR recertification. You will get fitted for turnout gear. You get to play in a fire. You get to cut a car out. If there's room, I'm going back. It's very educational in what you can pick up that will help you in your home or your business to help yourself out. And you will learn quite a bit about Falls Fire Department. Our response time here is about 2 to 2.5 minutes.
Wonderful.
Very
good.
It's excellent response time. And it gives you quite an eye opening, and a fire department is the biggest single item on our budget. So it's challenging. You know, somebody says I'm too old. I turned 69 the day after we finished it. I had an 82-year-old, 5-foot-tall lady that was in class with me. So I don't care how you get there, you can still be part of it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Don. Well, now you want to make a comment.
With in response to that, I belong to a group called Compassionate Friends, and it's a group for people who've lost their child, no matter how they've lost their child or grandchild. And some of the members that come are from that had Lannon children in suicide. So if anybody wants any information, tag me afterwards and I'll get you information. It's a wonderful group. It saved my husband and myself because we lost our son almost 16 years ago. So it's a wonderful organization.
I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe they'd be good folks to get connected with.
Open Healing, yeah.
This event, for sure.
Well, if you look at it in the last year, at Hamilton High School, we've lost 2 graduates to suicide in a year. This walk is for something to get support. Also, if anybody's interested, they have Narcan kits there available. And I will try and get some from her, bring down here at the village hall.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Okay, we'll move on then. Item number 10, discussion and possible action on approval of a sewer rate study by Ellers. If you'll recall, this topic came up in from an actually an unrelated matter, but it brought it to our attention that we had not reviewed our sewer rates in quite a long time. Felt that given the growth and all the stuff that's going on, it would probably be prudent to have that done. We did put out a couple of requests for proposals. We received one back. And that was from our friends at Ellers. So I will let John walk us through that.
Sure. All right. Good evening, everybody. John Cameron with Ellers, and the proposal is actually broken into a couple of different phases. So first starts with a long-range cash flow analysis, which really looks at the past, current, and then projected cash flow for the sanitary sewer utility to determine if adjustments to user rates are warranted. It also, in that first initial phase, looks at your capital improvement plan for the sanitary sewer utility and develops a preliminary funding plan to complete any projects within that plan. And certainly, given our familiarity with the tax increment districts, to the extent there are TID and sewer projects that are in there that are funding with one source or the other or both, we can obviously take that very much into consideration. We'll present that long-range cash flow analysis. If a rate adjustment for 2027 is warranted, then we'll move into the second phase. So the total for the study in the proposal is 11,500. But if we get done with the cash flow analysis and determine the sewer utility, which it has been very healthy, is still in a healthy position, no further adjustments are needed, we'll end our engagement at that point, and the cost would be 4,000 for that initial cash flow. So we like to break it into pieces because it's not always a given that you'll need to move forward with a rate adjustment. We like to look at the cash flow first. So it seems like a nice way to do it without, over committing to something you may not ultimately need. So happy to answer any questions.
What would the timing look like for the initial phase and then any subsequent?
We're ready to begin work immediately. I think coming back in late September for a presentation on that first phase is very doable. Second phase done in time for budget, so by November if it's needed, so that you have new rates into effect for January 1, 2027. Again, if sewer rates are need to be adjusted.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, John?
And so the funding mechanism or the source to pay it obviously is through the TIF, correct? It would be that
No.
it would be oh, sorry, from the sewer utility to pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies.
It'll come out of their reserve fund.
It makes sense to me that we would be doing this study to determine whether or not a rate increase is necessary. It's also annoying to me to have to spend money in order to determine whether or not we need to raise or adjust our rates. I wish there was a way that we could make the determination without having to spend taxpayer money to do that. I don't know if anybody from the board has any other recommendations.
Well, I don't think any of us are qualified to make that determination based on like my personal background. I wouldn't know where to begin, and that's why we, hire experts to evaluate that. And, if we had some full-time administrative staff that, were specialized in things like this, but I'd like to rely on the expertise, unless we just want to arbitrarily say, let's just raise the rates, which I also don't think is in the public's best interest.
I don't either, and it's an outside chance, but what if we're charging too much? Then,
Yeah, I'd like to see the results of the phase 1 and phase 2 study for $4,000 before we would authorize any further investigation for another 6,500.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
I think that's a fair
Yeah.
next step.
Yeah. Yes.
John, can you tell us what the zone of recommended reserves would be for the sewer utility.
Sure.
But what's the objective? How many years out? So forth.
There's a couple of metrics that you can rely upon. One is 6 months of operating expenses and 1 year's worth of debt. So at a minimum standpoint. So when you look at you're funding your capital or using reserves potentially to offset the revenue requirement of utility, essentially pay down what the user rates would otherwise need to raise. You really shouldn't go below 6 months operating, 1 year's worth of debt. Why 6 months operating? American Water Works Association is a kind of a source for that. But if you think of state, just in Minnesota and the cyber attacks that happened, and you think about the inability for utilities to collect revenue for a period of time, 6 months can go pretty quick. So it's at least a good starting spot. S&P, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, which are the two major rating agencies in the United States, also have recommendations on number of days cash on hand. 180 days cash on hand is a AA metric standard, so that's another way to look at it. So, and we look at all of those as part of the long range cash flow analysis. So we mimic both Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and then we look at 6 months and 1 year's worth of that.
And do you or does Brenda happen to know what we're currently running annually for O&M?
Oh, I don't.
It's difficult to calculate, right?
Right.
Because we've got the intermunicipal agreement with 4 different municipalities. We all contribute. We have some shared costs. We bill some stuff and to the others and vice versa. The other thing to keep in mind is, and Mr. Newman can correct me if I'm wrong, but most of this infrastructure went in 97, so it's aging. Most of that stuff at the time, I'm guessing, was probably depreciated over 30, maybe 40 years, 50 tops. Somewhere in there. We've done a lot of work to the lift stations and upgrades and maintenance to those, so those should be in pretty good shape, but.
Thank you. Are there any phases of this investigation that actually look at the infrastructure itself, or is it limited to cash flow analysis?
When you say the infrastructure itself, what do you mean by
The
that?
pipe and the structures and.
No,
the grinders.
that would be what you'd have your engineer do in terms of the investigation of the structure itself. We look at the age of the asset.
Yeah.
From a financial standpoint relative to its depreciation, but we don't actually do any investigative work.
So you compare it to age of depreciation rather than useful lifespan.
Correct. Yep.
We have had some sections of it through VillageBoard inspected and televised and things of that nature, but
You wouldn't want me out televising the maintenance.
Don't wear your suit that day.
long enough to reach your.
That's right, yeah, exactly, thank you.
Hey, Jerry.
We do have the upgrading going on at the plant in Sussex,
Yep,
so that's an additional expense,
yeah, they are doing a big upgrade over there.
And that is something we'll take into consideration in
Right.
cash flow.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Dan, that I don't think we should take spending money lightly. If we had a current one of these, I might feel otherwise, but I've been on the board since 2017 and I don't recall us ever doing any such study. I don't know if anybody here was here the last time one was done. So.
You're excluded, of course.
I mean, Brenda, you're at what, 11, 12 years coming up?
13 and
13.
then hasn't been done, and I mean, look at like labor rates and just whatever to
Mhm.
maintain the system, from 15 years ago.
Sure.
Just regular inflation cost for O&M. So should be something, it should be like that.
I remember, well, I think it was 1 years ago. We did a rate study but that's outdated, it's.
That's for the
Me,
water.
But there was something in the sewer too. I don't remember exactly what it was. To me, this is a necessary evil to do the first. And I think we should do the first part. See if we stand, and then decide if we need to go for the second part. Because personally, my sewer bill has not changed a lot in 22 years.
Well, would you like to make that recommendation or that motion?
I make a motion that we approve the sewer rate study phase 1 and 2 by Ayers. And then report that to the board before we go to, is it noted in your stage 3?
Yeah, 3 and 4.
So, yeah, we do 1 and 2, then meet with the board, then make a decision if we're going to move ahead with 3 and 4.
Yeah, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Have a good
Appreciate
night.
your time as always.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
All right, item number 11. Discussion and possible action regarding renewal of short-term occupancy for 7291 Landon Road. So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it is right across the street. Okay, I'm sure we're all well aware that there has been some project creep over there. Hi, Jerry. The owners have been working diligently, to try to get that done and occupied. What they've done so far is a vast improvement. So while it's taken a little longer than everyone expected, the results are commensurate with what the expectations were so far. You may or may not know, last year, I think it was, I took the position of allowing them to grant temporary occupancy for the living unit above the commercial space, in the hopes that the income stream would help facilitate a more timely completion of the project. They were given a year, I believe it was, that we gave you.
Yeah.
That year has come and gone. I was contacted by Ms. Bartelt, at least 6 weeks ago. Asking about an extension to that. At the time, I said no. I would not be in favor of granting an extension until we got the rest of the project completed. At the time, there was still all kinds of infrastructure elements sitting in the parking lot and things of that nature, and those have since been installed. Have they been signed off on by the engineer? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
the whole drain has, yes,
okay,
and also the whole building has now,
right, by the building inspector, yes.
yes,
So,
yeah, and the fire marshal.
so, since their window has come and gone and completion is imminent, they would like to have the board, or they asked me to consider another short-term extension. I told them that I would bring that decision to the board to make as a group, and to determine what, if any, necessary submittals or bonds or fees or whatever might be associated with that. I asked for evidence demonstrating that they have made good faith efforts to get their contractor here. It is not an issue of them holding things up. They're kind of getting the runaround by their contractor. which is a bit out of their control. I'll give you some time here to address the board if you'd like to cover anything that I might have missed. But that's what this item is, so. We have Eric and Michelle Bartel here.
All right, I would just, I guess, add that, well, we've been working really hard to get our contractor out here. Like daily, Eric is calling him or texting him and finding out when they're gonna be here. We've been given many dates of, we're gonna be there this day, we're gonna be there that day, and then the day comes and they don't show. The good news is the drain is in, so we're making progress there. Next step is the paving of the parking lot. But we really want to request occupancy for the upstairs regular unit. We are tied to a lease. And it is the same people who are planning on putting in a business down below. So they have leased the whole building. So that's why we're here to request or ask for that extension of occupancy for them to be able to continue and move forward in their plans of the business.
And Brenda, do we have that item slated for the August planning commission meeting? I know they didn't submit in time for last month.
No, it was like a couple days before the
Right.
meeting would have been, so.
Okay.
So I understand that our outstanding items now are paving and landscaping, correct? Are those the only two things Paul has signed off on all of the internal?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks great too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you have an approved final inspection,
we have,
so for both levels.
yes,
Yes.
the entire building.
Okay.
Technically, I don't believe that they're eligible for occupancy until the paving is complete and the landscaping is complete. So would we be overstepping our bounds? I would guess that the planning commission would answer to us, so we would be able to grant them occupancy, or would it have to go through the planning commission first? For a recommendation?
That's for him.
Yeah. I think that because the plan commission has been extensively involved, you should consider getting a recommendation from them. The paving issue arguably might be a public safety question. And I think before you consider anything further, you should hear from the owners what the alternative is gonna be in the event that their contractor doesn't respond.
We were to the point where with the drain, I was almost stuck that I could not get another contractor for the drain.
Right.
But now that the drain is in, I'm willing to find another contractor to get the concrete in. That's not an issue no more for us.
We are under contract with them. We've already paid a substantial amount of money to them. But
And
we
I'm
realize.
trying to give them another chance to get this concrete in. But we're to a point though where I can find any other concrete contractor now that would take this over and accomplish this. No.
Financially, you
Are you doing concrete for the whole parking surface too, or are you doing
Yes.
asphalt?
Concrete for the whole thing.
Oh.
And then two, also with the drain that we installed. We've
No,
had-
but she's very.
How do they keep unmuting? If you're watching from home, if you could please mute your feed, that'd be appreciated.
okay, I got them. Sorry about that.
For the drain that we installed, they actually went to the far north of our parking lot for this drain. It's actually a double drain system.
Yeah.
It has a center drain that's in our parking lot
Yep.
and one that goes another 100 feet past that into the corner of the lot. To help
To the-
drain literally the whole corner, all 5 of them houses in that corner
Right.
are gonna utilize that drain in case the 100-year flood comes.
Again.
We had a big analysis done though for the 100-year flood.
Yes.
The
Right.
drain's ready, so.
Right.
Is the middle one, I noticed the middle one has a manhole cover on it
Yes,
rather than a grate.
I
Is
just
that
reached out to my
temporary?
contractor and I said, is this an issue? And then he said it's not. They'll have that replaced as soon as they get back on.
Okay, so the plan is for that. So if you were granted occupancy, you said that you already have a lease with the person who is going to live upstairs and run a business downstairs. Are you what is their timing like as far as opening to the public? Because there's a difference between having somebody living upstairs and setting up a business or opening doors to the public.
Well, they have about 2.5 months to 3 months is when they're thinking to actually have the open commercial down below.
That's what I'm thinking is if there was any wiggle room in here, it would be allowing them to have that lease, be able to start cash flowing for them, give him time to set up and not have public access. I mean, could we do it for a 3-month period of time and then revisit it? And hopefully in that period of time, all of the sidewalks, paving and landscaping are complete?
Do you have dates for when you're gonna get the pavement?
I would love to give you guys a date, but every time I ask them, it's just another date. They give me false dates.
We had
So,
June second, July
How
2nd.
do you in good conscience put a leasee into that building when you have no firm dates on when the pavement will be completed, let alone the road completed?
In the lease, I did put a stipulation on it. To finish, and occupancy.
Yes.
Okay, so the lease doesn't start until the pavement's completed.
The lower,
The lower.
yes.
My primary concern and my ask would be, that at least the sidewalks and the aprons, get addressed immediately. So, and by that, whether it's you out there hand mixing this, or I really don't recommend that.
No, we were just on there, what do you think? Just check a couple of days.
Not being serious, not being serious. You should have a licensed professional come out and install those sidewalks, get them back to the way they're supposed to be when this is done. And the drive apron, and the curb reinstalled on the old apron. Get the public facing infrastructure restored immediately.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's the major violation over there right now.
Yes.
So at Hector's suggestion, they should go before the the planning commission in order for the planning commission to make a recommendation for us, but that puts us into September then.
So my question would be, when does this temporary permit expire?
Well, I think
They already had one temporary occupancy, which was probably granted for 12 months, and that has expired. Yeah.
So it's already expired.
It's already expired. They're
just
asking for
expired.
7 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the condition of Main Street. It's a hazard. And, that needs to be addressed immediately. As well as the sidewalk, but mainly the condition of Main Street.
Yeah, the asphalt work,
It's the same crew. They were just out when we had that major flooding and they were trying to fill it. And obviously when that major flooding was going on and they couldn't.
So we've had 87 days of hot blistering weather and 2 days of rain, and they picked those 2 days.
It was for the road patch. And I reach out to them every couple days to say, you guys gotta get this in, you guys gotta get this in. And it's just.
If County Road, one of these days, the county's gonna come in.
Yeah.
And they're gonna put the hammer down. I followed a car because nobody put cones up, fellow police chief did.
Yes.
And watched the car drive through there. That was totally ridiculous. That was the same day I drove past there and seen two probably under 18-year-old kids coming out of the trench in tennis shoes. That was not by any way, shape, or form a safe operation. And to still have that hole, and I know the police chief's been over there.
Yeah.
That's not our headache, and that's gone on for probably a month.
I understand.
And as Jim said, that needs to get fixed now, not next week, and it has to be repaired to county standard.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
But that needs to be done last week.
Yeah, I think for me, there's absolutely no way I will approve a temporary occupancy to continue. I'm glad it expired, to be honest with you. You need an incentive to get the job done. The pavement has to get done. When the pavement is completed, I would be open to a TCO, but not before it. And the fact that Main Street is still open, the sidewalk is still open, there's no proper barricading. You have no silt fencing around the perimeter. Like, there's so many violations out there. You're putting a lot of safety for pedestrian and in stake. That needs to be addressed promptly. And if it's not timely, I think the village needs to start setting fines out to you.
Please understand that we paid a high price contractor that's supposed to take care of all this for us. Like, we don't know what to do. We put our heart and soul into this building. 4 years, we're 2.5 years over project, over budget. And we're to the point that we are financially breaking on this building. It's literally so far over budget, so far over the length of what we expected, that I don't even know what to do no more with the building. You know, I find myself crying myself to sleep because I can't do anything no more. I go there every single day to do something to bring that building closer to accomplishing it. But it's to the point now that everything is out of my hands. I can't, you know, it's hard for me to even come up with the money to hire another contractor while I have all that money with that contractor that I have to fight to get back. And I'm just stuck, you guys. I don't know where to go anymore, you know? I just beg you guys, if we lose this contract with these couple, we'll go bankrupt in this building. We're to the point where we're stuck, we don't know what to do. And we cannot afford to lose this contract. There was a 3-year contract. They wanted the whole entire building. And as soon as we can get this parking lot in, they're gonna open up for occupancy down below and start up. Pallet consignment, no, a pallet.
Like an outlet, like liquidation.
A liquidation. They buy pallets from Amazon and Home Depots. And sell the new products, return products. And we are this close, you guys. This project was something that I took on and I gaslit her. And I said I could do this, you guys. And after about 1.5 years of this, I knew I was not. And I knew I was gonna bankrupt my family, you guys. Until you guys gave us that grant. I knew I was never gonna finish it about 2 years in. And maybe about 1 year in. And if you guys wouldn't have gave us that grant, we never would have finished this building. I overestimated every aspect of that building, from everything we touched. It went from a couple $100 project to tens of thousands, literally hundreds of items in that building.
The drain was a big.
We didn't even know about the drain.
That was not something that was even.
We never planned for it.
No.
We knew we were gonna get we needed a parking lot. And we tried to do a premium concrete parking lot for it. But it's just stalled. So I beg you guys, please, we put our life and our lives on this building.
There's no one in here that wants it done more than me and you. That is for sure. There's no one in here who spends the amount of time up at night worrying about this. Than me.
We cried because we knew our occupancy was leaving, you know? And I had no choice, you guys. I had to sign that lease. I had to put him in that building. No, knowing or not knowing, I just couldn't, you know, I didn't know what to do.
When are they looking to move in the building?
They're in the building right now.
Upstairs?
Yeah.
Yes.
And have they put together a plan to be approved by the building inspector for what they're putting up there? Have they put a plan of operation?
They're just starting that now.
Because that's gonna have to go to the plan commission.
It's on the next plan.
That's what I was just asking Brenda, it's on the next plan commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have other.
Just so that that's going, part of me agrees with Dan. Part of me does not want to see you fail. And I understand what it's like. I had a major headache like that 22 years ago. But then a couple of safety items, what happened to the silk fencing that was there? That's DNR fine, and that's not a $10 or $20 fine. That hole in the street is dangerous. And if somebody is in an accident because of your fault, it's gonna be over for you. I don't wanna see that.
What could we go?
I guess and I'm not talking gravel patch,
No,
I'm talking proper barricading. Which hasn't been out there, but something's gotta be done with that. And I appreciate the point you're at. And this is a battle for me, do we or don't we? By all technicalities, we should say no. But the Humane Society side of me, we put conditions on it. You need to have your landscaping done, but some of the bigger places being done here, people were moving in before landscaping was done. But the hole in the road's the first thing that's gotta be brought up, the county standard. Yeah, that not only exposes you, but the village for not forcing you.
sure.
That's gotta be done, the sidewalks gotta be done, it's got to be made safe. And not in 3 weeks. Needs to be done right away.
I'll get hired
I
on
would-
a contractor and handle that.
I would say, yeah, my recommendation would be to hire a good, reliable contractor that has plenty of recommendations from people you trust to come in and get that sidewalk taken care of and that street patched at a minimum. And you can fight with your current contractor about any deductions from his contracted amount later. Because they clearly are not holding up their end of the deal. So, I'm, again, I only play an attorney on TV, but I would think you would have a good case.
And we are to the point where since that drain is in, I know, and I have other quotes that I've had before I hired this contractor for the concrete work. That I'm capable of finding absolutely multiple concrete companies to handle this project immediately too.
Well, even if you were to go with an asphalt parking lot, would be much cheaper. You can redo it at a later date. I don't know, was his site plan specifically stated for concrete?
No, I don't.
It was just
No,
a parking
I
lot.
think initially it was
Well,
always
parking
presented
lot
as
is one.
asphalt. Yeah,
Okay,
but-
Yeah, because that's a huge expense, that money, instead of doing that in concrete. And if you get the safety issues taken care of immediately, that would make it much easier for those of us on the board. We gotta cover the village's flood.
Absolutely.
But again, you guys have you've been hammering at that project for a long time.
It's harder that building was harder to do than anyone ever could imagine.
Yeah.
Yes. It was
So,
like.
I've been in it before you bought it. I can imagine how hard it is. I thought you were crazy.
At the time, there was a point where I regretted buying it.
Oh, yeah.
And I 100% regretted it, and I was so convinced that I bankrupt my family with that building. And I'm to the point now that I've done it, I think I'm so close, you guys, like.
You know, we have, the addition of the grant has been a huge help, and it's not even money that's holding this up right now, because we do have the grant that was given to us from the state, it's tractor and getting it work done, like.
Hire somebody else, get them in there tomorrow.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that if you
There
can,
maybe is, sorry, Don, maybe one other possible option that I could consider, I guess, is because the public safety is my biggest concern with the road not being repaired, the sidewalk not being repaired. The village could do that work and then back charge you for the costs And then we could get it done promptly. We would cash flow it and then we would back charge it to you and put it as an assessment on your property taxes.
Sure. It's the
Same thing. So that gives you an opportunity to get the work done. And continue progress out there. It helps address the public safety issue. I still don't know that I would support a TCO until the pavement of the parking lot is done, especially not for the first floor.
We are only asking for the upstairs.
So, but that, I suppose that could be a potential solution because it does address the public safety concern. And then it gives you until your tax bill to cash flow and to get the money in that you would need.
That's a good idea.
Let's agree to that. And we just sent Patrick some email or some conversations that we had with the contractor. And they were just there, like just the other day, trying to do that hole. And then with the rain. And I just want to say it's gonna happen any day. But I've been saying any day for any day. So.
I think Dan's got a workable study.
Every day I get up and phrase.
Yeah, because if we don't,
Okay with that.
if we don't take action on this tonight, it's another month and then some, you know, so anything that we can do to move it forward to a vote, at least, even if it doesn't pass, and I don't know, I like Dan's idea too.
If we can get something put together with Dan's idea, strict timeline. And if it's not done. And I'm talking a month to month. Temporary occupancy. You bring in every month what's been done. I think everybody in the village would like to see that project completed. And I don't think anybody sitting up here has a desire to bankrupt you.
No, of course not.
But if I think Dan's got a great solution, take care of the safety stuff first. And we go from there. But very tight timeline, and we'll see you every month. And we want progress updates. Unfortunately, you're really easy to see, right?
Send it over here and just in 1 day, maybe.
Would you be agreeable to Dan's suggestion that the village take over having that taken care of?
At least the road and the sidewalk
The
and
road
the
and the
apron, yeah,
sidewalk.
right.
Being taken care of by the village and then assess it to your taxes and then give you a month to month approval for lease, for occupancy, I should say. Would that be at least workable for you?
That's right.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That would be acceptable.
Yeah.
I think we also have a situation where we have the horse has kind of left the barn. This person is occupying the upstairs right now, and this person has signed a lease to run a business downstairs for a plan of operation that has not even been presented. I mean, devil's advocate here would be, what happens if that plan of operation comes to the planning commission and it's not recommended for approval to the board? I'm not saying that that's, but I mean, I feel like the correct way to do this is to take one foot in front of the other, and I feel like we've stumbled already over a few steps. Council, is there any validity to my bringing that up in this conversation?
It might be. Let me ask this question. Have you gotten any quotes for the cost of putting in the sidewalk?
I have a quote that was a broad quote but I had that other sidewalk prepared. Last year.
How much money is it gonna cost to put in sidewalk right now?
About $4,000.
$4,000
To fix all the curbings, that whole sidewalk.
Okay. So include the street repair.
Probably no, that would just be the concrete.
The concrete work.
Yep, and the new curb and a new approach.
Would that cover the public area? I'm not familiar.
That is a really good price, and if I took it out to bid, I would not be able to get that.
That's the trouble I'm in too. This guy has got good prices. The guy's notable. And she's just.
He can have amazing prices if he never shows up.
There you go.
But also that price I had though was the scope of all that concrete, so it wasn't the whole
We didn't have
air
it
front.
broken
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
Side,
individual.
Yeah,
yeah, it was
of
one
course not, yeah.
overarching price for.
Is that the same person that did the sewer?
Yes, and they're supposed to go.
My
right-
personal
right-
advice. Well, my recommendation to the board is, if it's inclined to step in and for public safety purposes, that the village can do that in the interest of public safety. And this can be put on the tax roll for that property regardless of the financial outcome here. However, I strongly recommend that you don't go on a month-to-month basis. And you adjourn this matter to the next village board meeting to see progress. And at the same time, that you instruct our firm to commence a prosecution action against these property owners if they have not done something by the beginning of next month, even though this thing has been adjourned. Incentivize them. If you sign a lease, it would seem to me that you could give them credit for the rent and use that money from the lease to cover this.
Yes. Yeah.
You can talk to the contractor and say, you're being sued,
Yes. Yeah.
possibly by the village. And I don't know what their exposure might be, but the contractor conceivably could become entangled in this, but I'm not in a position to give you any specific legal advice, except that the village, if they're inclined to do it, can go out for public bids or bids given the amount involved, and put it on the tax roll as a special charge.
Yeah, I don't think we have to go out for public bid
No.
if it's less than 25,000.
Right.
I'm guessing it's probably 10 to 15,000 if we were to bring contractors in
Sure.
and do it to county specs. So,
Do you have plans for this? I mean, are the plans laid out?
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
And you have copies, so we have something
Yeah.
to present to anybody bidding?
Yeah, I think Ben probably has copies of the engineered drawings and elevations and.
As does Paul.
If we were to go this way, would you lose your lease? Your leasee?
I don't think so. Our big concern is not opening the lower unit. If it doesn't open for them, it's, if we lose that lease, that's not the end of the world. It's that upper one, at least one lease we'll be able to salvage. And if we had to push that lower lease off a couple months, that's
Right.
just what we have to do, and
Right.
that's just.
And would they be agreeable to that? Do you think?
I'm assuming, yes, yeah,
You've worked with them?
yes, they're very very nice.
It's
stuff.
in the lease
And
already.
we also did
Okay.
add in the lease that if we don't get this parking lot in, that we're not liable and they can't come after us.
Smart.
So,
But the problem I see if we don't take some action on the upper occupancy, then they become it
We're
would
putting them at
become a
risk.
legal situation. So is there a way to get around that after? We're not looking to get around anything. We're just postponing making a decision about what to do about the upstairs occupancy. The thing that I think can give us some reassurance is the representation, if I heard it correctly, that the building inspector has examined the upper area
yeah,
and passed it.
yes, the upper has been passed and rented, about a year ago. We had our first
That's
season in
been-
the upper, about a year ago.
And then with regards to the lower area,
That was just passed just a couple days ago by Mike the inspector that helps Paul out.
Okay,
that-
and granted the occupancy permit.
They're doing the paperwork right now for that, yep.
Okay, so I think we're in a reasonable zone at this point.
The fire marshal came out and inspected too, and that all passed.
And we had that, actually, last week I had the state inspector out. And he had two tiny little things that I had to address. I had to add a baby changing station in the bathroom. And another handrail. For going down to the basement.
So if I can summarize,
That's
what we're considering here is, a tabling of the decision on the occupancy until next month's meeting. And a consideration to contract out the work to have at least the public safety concerns completed by a contractor of our choosing, and then that would get put on the tax rolls as a special charge. And then it would be up to the property owner to work out any credit for that work. That's up to you. No, that's on you guys. And then to try to continue to motivate this person to get out here and finish this job. Because I think you're getting the message. It's not going to go well if this drags on for another 4 or 5 months.
No.
It's not going to be good for you guys.
No.
I mean it. It really is not.
And
I
if
think
we,
you're being generous on the 4 or 5 months.
Well,
This has, that street is such a danger. And I can't,
I'm talking about the parking lot.
No.
The street and sidewalk are already getting done. We're gonna do that. That's getting done. We'll take care of that. You'll pay for it. Whatever we negotiate, it's not up for debate.
Sure.
But the rest of the parking lot needs to get done. When I said 4 or 5 months, I meant we're not gonna wait around for this contractor to come in and finish the parking surface.
No, and we won't.
And looking at that piles of crap out there for any longer.
Understandable.
The rope, you're at the end of the rope.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that the Village of Lannon contract for the completion of the road construction work and public sidewalk, public curb, and the damaged asphalt pavement at the address of 7291 Lannon Road. The cost for that will be back charged to the property owner as a special assessment on your property taxes. I will not forward any approvals on TCOs that can be tabled for a later meeting.
Does that meet your needs, Hector?
I would just suggest substituting the term special charge or special assessment, because there's a specific statutory provision for a special charge, which means that it's not payable in installment and it's due and payable in January of next year, so that you understand that.
And if they fail to pay it, what's the precaution or the consequence if they fail to pay it?
The debt is passed on to the county. The county has a lien, and the county then proceed to collect under its normal procedures for foreclosure.
Just so I want you to understand.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second now. One more.
With that,
please.
there's additional comment.
All right, hold on. Any other comments from the board on the motion and the second? Okay, yes.
My question is, hey, this is just, I'm not in the field, but when the village comes in and they repair the sidewalk and curb cut and everything like that, will they be following our new plan, because the curb cut moves?
Yes.
Not just repairing
Yes.
the old?
We are going to build it to your engineered drawings.
Okay, that's what I want.
Yeah, just,
Yep.
I just need to make sure I have a copy of it.
Yeah, there's.
Yep.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Are we crystal clear on what's happening here, what needs to be done by you and when and all of that?
Yep.
Okay, great. If you have any questions, call me.
All right, yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. The end is near, maybe.
It is.
Okay.
But it is.
Hope that helps.
Thank you.
All right, item number 12, discussion and possible action regarding core design alternatives for Good Hope Road. Thank you for waiting so patiently. To get to see some of the other side of, I don't know if Dan, you've been more involved in these, if you wanna do an introduction here or give a quick thing, or if we wanna just turn it over.
I'll do a very quick introduction. I'll turn it over to Aaron, if you want to give a little more of an elaborate. So Good Hope Road, this is essentially from town line where the roundabout is going east to Main Street. This is a complete reconstruction with replacement of the sub-base aggregate material that's there. I believe there's some upgrades to the stormwater that's going through there. And addition of sidewalk. So there were two initial studies that were part of this. There was one study that looked at doing a 5-foot concrete sidewalk, the entire length of the north side of Good Hope Road, and also a 5-foot concrete sidewalk on the south end, essentially from the bug line crossing to Main Street. Alternate two, rather than having the two 5-foot concrete sidewalks on either side, had a 10-foot wide asphalt multi-use path, just on the north side. So as that was essentially the major concept between the two design alternatives. Through a series of technicalities, well, let me back up and say the funding for this is gonna be cost shared between Village of Blandon and Wisconsin DOT. It's 80-20, so it's 80% funded through the state, 20% funded from our TID accounts here at the Village of Blandon. The technicality is that the WISDOT will agree with the cost share for a sidewalk only, but not for a multi-use trail. So if we went with continue the route with the multi-use trail, they will only 8% cost share the first 5 feet of the 10-foot multi-use path. Ironic though that you can do 2 5-foot sidewalks and they cover that, but not one 10-foot. Somehow that makes sense. That's right. So as part of this alternative that's printed out here in front of you, this is a complete reconstruction of Good Hope with the 5-foot concrete sidewalk on the north side. There is I believe it's a 5-foot landscape buffer between the sidewalk and the traffic lanes, the entire length of the north side, similar on that section of the south side that's being done. And I believe does this one also have bike lanes?
Correct. There's a 11-foot driving lane in each direction and a 5-foot bike lane in each direction, plus the curb and gutter. So with this alternative, the overall face of curb, the face of curb dimensions are 36 feet. The existing roadway is 40 feet. So it is 4 feet narrower than the existing facility, but then you still have that sidewalk to account for as well.
Are those just painted striping to delineate those?
Correct, it'd be a white edge line. And it's up to the village if you would want to mark it as official bike lane or put symbols on the pavement, but otherwise at a minimum, it'd just be a white edge line.
And so, the intention for bringing this to the board tonight in advance of the public information meeting that will be on the 25th was to confirm that we're moving in the right direction. Again, the two alternates, we're doing the 2 5-foot concrete sidewalks versus the 1 10-foot asphalt multi-use path. So I can turn it over to Aaron for any other input or the board members with questions or thoughts on which of those two options will be more preferred. My initial assessment on it was the 2 5-foot concrete sidewalks, because that would be fully partially funded by the government, by the state.
Fully partially funded.
That's correct. The other concern with the multi-use path is with path projects per DOT. There's concern about that you can't use eminent domain if you don't have a willing seller, and you need either a temporary easement or a permanent easement from anyone along the path. So that just complicates the real estate process as well. So our recommendation, like Dan said, was move forward with the sidewalk alternatives. Open for discussion if it should be on both sides, east of the Bug Line Trail. However, what's laid out here does conform to your request for the STP urban funding that you Village wrote and got that grant for.
I do have a question. So when it comes to the eminent domain concern, am I mistaken that pretty much every property of concern in this has a property line that goes to the center line of the road anyway? So I mean, that would seem to eliminate the eminent domain concern, because we're gonna have to do it anyway.
So that's a great question. It's something we've wrestled with since the RFP came out, I believe. The county GIS site shows the line work for many parcels here going to the center line of roadway. Typically, you would assume that there is some highway easement associated here because you have a road on private property. However, the as-built plan that we dug up from 1985 does show a 24.75 foot right-of-way width. So per our real estate contract, we've ordered title searches for the parcels along the corridor to confirm where those property lines actually are. We don't have those yet, so we need to read that, receive that information, read it, and plot it out to confirm that. But that ownership to the center line may not actually be the case.
Was that not a county road years ago?
Yes.
So some of that, but some of that had been taken care of when that was a county road. And comment on sidewalks. On the north side, you get past the Bug Line, that's all businesses there. The south side of the street past the Bug Line, there's 3 businesses and then houses. And I see the village having a challenge taking the parking away from these businesses. But depending on what comes out on the title searches would make a big difference on that.
And did I hear you mention parking? Did you said parking?
Yes.
Yeah, so none of the alternatives call for on-street parking at all.
Not on street, but parking in front of the business.
Like Gessler's Towing, their lot goes right out to the road. They park vehicles there. Lakeshore Burial Vault maybe does the same thing. Lemke Stone.
So I think to clarify that is what's proposed here is to have sidewalk on the south side that would start at the Bug Line and then come east to Main Street. It's not proposed to go west,
right,
where those businesses are.
Correct. So we would not be overlapping or buying from those 2 parcels that you mentioned. We would not be buying land to put a sidewalk on those 2 properties.
So this would be all on the, let's say, east side of the road.
Full north side, partial south side.
Correct.
And I think the with the eminent domain conversation, if I understand this correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but, because with the possibility that some of these parcels may come to the center line of the road, the goal of doing this through, WISDOT would be is that would essentially get cleaned up. Where we would essentially purchase, whatever it is, 20 or 30 feet of property from the property owner, to establish a permanent thoroughfare, the corridor length of Good Hope Road. And if it's a road with a sidewalk, that is approved by the state, but if it's a road with a, multi-use path, for whatever reason, the technicality with multi-use paths is it would disbar or disqualify any of that property purchasing or something to that effect.
Correct. With the
Yeah.
path, you can't use eminent domain to acquire. Where you still can for the sidewalk.
So we can just do gravel paths for now and then build a multi-use next year?
There's statutory prohibition that was put in by the legislature that would preclude communities from using eminent domain to establish pedestrian pathways or bikeways. And that's
Big oil lobbyists.
Correct. That was a change, I think, in like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean,
Side that push you to,
Yeah.
to more pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and then the other side, they say, no.
follow the money. Yeah.
And so then one other thing to add, with the option where there is sidewalk on both sides, east of the bug line, there is fee acquisition as well as easements, but we are showing the corner parcel here then as a relocation under that option.
Oh,
So
Davies property?
Correct. And by relocation, you mean destroy it?
Well, the sidewalk would be going through the front porch roughly, or.
Oh.
Go ahead, go ahead. Throw a match over your shoulder when you leave.
you remember this is.
Yeah, right.
You mentioned relocation. That means the acquiring entity has to pay the property owner not only for the value of the land acquired, but the cost of relocating what is there and acquiring another site elsewhere, similar in character.
Right.
Mm.
So nothing is set in stone here. This is just the initial alternative. The other thing is you could buy part of the property and not buy the whole property. So in this scenario, the way it's drawn, the village would own the whole property. But with the sidewalk going through the building, you're right, you need to like relocate that business to another location, although there is no active business there right now, so.
Weed growing. It's a weed growing farm.
Yeah, well, there's such a thing as an unusable remnant also here. We could acquire a portion of it, but if we render the rest of the property unusable as such, there may be an obligation on the part of the village and the state to compensate the property owner. For your information, and as a matter of public record, the village board has taken up the question of what to do with that particular parcel because it was the subject of a very serious fire. The building inspector has officially determined that the building is not fit for habitation. And the property owner has been given a great deal of leniency in removing personal effects that are there. No one is living there. There is no water to the property. And the village is considering the possibility of taking action such as implementing a raise order. So if that is an issue that can be postponed. I would recommend that it be postponed until the village makes a decision about what to do with the growing property.
Yeah, and I think for now, we're looking to determine, you know, if this is the appropriate concept to continue with. Or if we should, you know, bounce back over to the multi-use path concept. So I think that's the direction we're looking for. The commentary and you know, information about the drone-in property and perhaps not fully designing anything as it comes into that parcel, I think is good information. And I think if we approve this to continue that, you know, perhaps we just kind of hold off on design of that parcel. At least as we're getting through the first 30-60%. To allow time to try to determine what's gonna happen with that parcel specifically.
So from a real estate standpoint, we would be looking to have a final right-of-way plat where we would show something for that site, either full relocation, we're buying part of it in fee, or we're leaving it off. But ideally, we would know by the end of November, because we would have a final plat November of this year, and then our real estate appraiser, and that process would begin December. Excuse me, that'll begin in December, and they have 11 months to acquire the needs for the project.
Wouldn't it make, I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but wouldn't it make more sense to? I mean, I'm personally in favor of the sidewalk route, which is in my mind leading us to having to take some sort of action there. Wouldn't it make more sense to just do that through this process rather than our own individual process that we were considering initiating? Isn't it cleaner and more efficient as you're doing all these other ones?
This process might be more complicated.
Isn't it the same?
This process involves relocating.
Yeah.
Well, so does, well, yeah, I mean, without going into the other options that we consider.
In eminent domain, if I understood correctly, it would require the acquisition plus the relocation with an equivalent use. I don't think that's in the best interest. So I guess, so the question then is, if we continue on with the sidewalk option here that's illustrated, do we design with it extending all the way to Main Street and showing showing the conflict with the building that's there?
Right. Yeah. I guess one of those options that we had considered would have forego with that possible. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm in favor of the sidewalk thing. You know, let's get done what we can for, you know, this little outlay part as possible. I don't know that if you've got bike lanes on each side of that road and sidewalk, I mean, I don't know that we need some fancy multi-use path.
Agreed.
Sure, they're pretty and they're nice, but
I think I guess the caveat with the multi-use path is that the bike lanes would not be in the pavement between the face of curb and face of curb.
Right.
Because the multi-use path is a bike lane and a walking lane. So this illustration with the 2 5-foot sidewalks, because it's technically illegal to ride your bike on a sidewalk. The bike lane is between the face of curbs alongside traffic.
I'd be more inclined to see some sort of physical barrier between those bike lanes than all things. Aren't there variations of those where there's like a larger curb type structure that separates the driving lane and the bike lane?
Yeah, yes, there's options where you could do a protected bike lane where maybe you're pouring an extra curb in there and it's still at pavement level and there's delineators there. Any separation from live traffic is safer for bicyclists. With that option, you'd have to look at how are you clearing the snow. You definitely needs different equipment for that. Another option that had been considered would be a raised bike lane, where now typically you would have like a grass terraced area between the curb and then the bike lane, but you could raise up the bike lane so it's on the same level as the sidewalk. And then you know, communities that have a wider right of way, you could have a grassed area then between the raised bike lane and the sidewalk. That's probably like the safest option, but now you're widening out the footprint of the roadway where we're trying to fit in what we can and buy like the least amount of right of way.
Right.
So that would be the balance there. So where we talked about the face-to-face roadway widths earlier, going from 40 feet to 36, that 4 feet narrower with proposed facility helps you. And we're also looking at like a slight shift, about 2.5 feet to the south for the roadway, just to try to fit that sidewalk in and not require fee from all the property owners on the north side.
Yeah, up there where they have all those retaining walls and stuff.
Correct. Our goal would be to match in
And
before, where the back of sidewalk would be roughly 2 feet off the face of those walls. And the intent would be to keep those existing walls. And in general, the power poles would be north of the sidewalk.
Right.
The other thing that you have to factor in is the fact that your community, like many communities in Waukesha County, are struggling with the regulation of e-bikes and e-scooters. So the more attractive you make the passageway there, I can guarantee you, based on what I've observed, you're going to have more juvenile operators of electric bikes over those areas. If you want to accommodate them, because in some communities, they feel that sidewalks are fair game for e-bikes, particularly when you have toddlers. Some kids under 12 should not be out in the roadway, but on the sidewalk. Then there's a pedestrian safety issue.
Right.
My concern is, and you're talking about an area that's behind my home. I do not see any cyclists at all going down Good Hope Road. I see walkers. People walking their dogs, people doing their couple walking at night or early in the morning or on Sunday. But the bikes use the path. They use the bike path. They don't use a bike lane. I don't see them on Main Street. I don't see them anywhere around my little neighborhood, the little kids with their parents, you know, walking, but they're heading to the bike path. They're heading to the path. They're not going on, we don't have sidewalks on my street. But I go up and down Good Hope Road a lot in the course of a week, and I see walkers. And I don't care if it's Sunday morning, Saturday, anytime during the week. I don't see cyclists on the street.
But keep in mind, in the very near future, there might be as many as 100 additional homes right up off of Good Hope Road, with a road connecting to another neighborhood with about 50 homes. That might change the usage of that road, especially coming out of that neighborhood and into our bustling downtown area.
I'm just saying that right now, I don't see it. I mean, sidewalks are fine, because the people that do walk it, they're walking in the streets.
Right.
Because we don't have sidewalks down there. Sidewalk I'd be fine with, but the bike lane, I just feel like the bike path is what the people use. They tend to use that more.
Yeah, but they have to get to the path. Like I live on Town Line Road. I have to ride my bicycle on Town Line north to the bug line. There's no it is, and so I love the idea of adding additional. Now, as far as our community goes, I agree with you. I like the idea of the sidewalk for financial reasons and infrastructure reasons and all the reasons that the experts have pointed out to us. And, you know, I really think that if Dan is going for a walk with his young family and some of them are on bicycles and they happen to be riding their bikes on the sidewalk, I don't think anyone's going to, you know, cite your children for riding their bicycles on the sidewalk to the, you know, I mean, just practically, when I look at the size of our community and the use that we need, I think that the sidewalks are completely acceptable. And I love the idea of having just a little bit more road space, because there are the people that are out here on their bikes in their rainbow jerseys. Do you know what I mean? There's serious bicycle riders. Those people are never going to ride on the sidewalks anyway, but they need to have a little bit of shoulder for the, you know, their own protection. But like, as far as putting curbs in or a raised bike path, I don't see a need for that with the density of our.
I don't like the idea of having a raised bike lane or something, some type of a barrier because of the snowplow issue that Aaron mentioned. So I guess my question then is, if there's a desire to have a separation area between bicyclists and traffic, then we should go the route of the multi-use path. And if that's not a priority, then I say we stick with this option of the sidewalks.
Yeah, I brought it up merely as a point of consideration. I certainly, I mean, I'm more in favor of this alternate, the preliminary alternate with the sidewalks, and I think that's certainly, it's not only adequate, it's much improved from what we have now.
Right.
Which is the goal, right? Well, the main goal is to get the road repaired.
Right. But also make us more walkable and.
Yeah, and this worked
It does
with our
both.
pedestrian and bike
Yep.
study, and, you know, so they're working in concert.
Yep.
It's just what options do we want to put on the Mercedes? Right?
This is probably the best option for pedestrian and traffic.
Yep.
The multi-use path is probably most favorable for bicyclists.
Yeah.
So are you looking tonight, are you looking for,
My desire is for affirmation on which of those two options. Initially, I suggested that we continue forward with the sidewalk option. So my goal is affirmation that we should continue on that, or if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong and we go and transition over to the way of the multi-use path.
I'm fine.
See, my opinion was I was always in favor of a multi-use path. Now I understand the complexities associated with that. However, if we had a multi-use path, we did not have to have bike lanes on Good Hope. That may allow for some on-street parking on Good Hope.
Where?
Would it be wide enough, Aaron?
You would have room for on-street parking on one side of the roadway if you didn't have. Because right now the on-street bike lane, or you could also look at it as a paved shoulder, right? So there's like if a vehicle stalls out, there's room the path for that vehicle to stop by the curb and it not to block traffic. But it is a 5-foot bike lane, so altogether that's the 10 feet. For parking, you really need 7 to 8 feet for parking, so you could accommodate parking on one side of the roadway if you eliminated that paved shoulder or bike lane, however you want to call
But
it.
those businesses have parking lots,
Correct.
and the homes that are along in there have driveways.
Yeah, I think.
So
Jim
there's
was
no reason
thinking
for parking
about-
on the streets.
I think Jim was thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, more about near the bug line crossing there, having a spot for some limited vehicular parking there.
Yeah, you're spot on.
Okay.
Yes, parking is an issue. Any place you have access to a bike lane.
So maybe it's something where we don't have to, redesign the entire stretch of roadway if we want to consider some accommodations along a limited area of roadway near the intersection of the Bug Line and Good Hope. And maybe that's just a couple 100 feet on one side of the road where it's an extra wide.
So there's also the side road.
Ludovic or
Ludovic, yeah.
Ludovic right there.
Yeah.
Is Ludovic actually all a village road?
To my knowledge, it's a village road.
As far as I know, it's Village Road. At least
Because
the
there's
first section of it.
2 businesses. And then one at the very end.
And then it goes to Quarry, and then I think it's a village road past the 2 businesses, and then from that point on, then I believe it becomes private property.
That's all.
You're right, it shows right away up to where the road winds,
Yeah.
and then it's like the right of way stops right there, and that's all private property.
It's not even paved to the end of the right of way.
Yeah, so I guess one thought is that it looks like that's already in right of way, that's a narrower roadway. Like you could put parking on one side of that, and you're gonna be almost as close as you would be on the street to the Bug Line as well, without needing to buy right away.
That's a nice
Well,
idea.
frankly, you're going there to exercise anyway, so why do you have to?
No,
And why are all the parking spots at the health clubs filled right by the one?
Right? It's funny, isn't it?
because it's too hot outside. Something I didn't think about previously, if you went the route of the multi-use path, your bicycle traffic is on the other advantage, I guess, about being on a separated or raised area, is you don't have any of that road debris that kind of filters out into the bicycle lane. And with the amount of dump trucks that frequent that road, that's probably gonna be more of a factor than it would anywhere else, and so we would probably have to, do more frequent street sweeping along that in order to keep that bicycle lane clear. Versus if we do the multi-use path, that would alleviate that. I mean, the gravel will still be there, it just won't be in a bicycle lane.
Right.
Well, the other thing though is that you still have a 2-foot gutter pan. So is the gravel gonna sit in the 5-foot bike lane or paved shoulder, or is it gonna roll into the gutter?
Yes.
All of the above. All of the above.
Okay, so if it was a multi-use path, do property owners have to clear that or keep it clear, or would that only be for sidewalks?
Snow load, you're talking.
Snow removal.
Correct.
The way the ordinance is written is if the ordinance specifically says sidewalks, so if council wants to weigh in on that.
That's correct.
Okay, so this is exempt then from snow clearing ordinance, if it's a multi-use path.
Right.
But then does it become village?
Is the village required to clear it then?
Well, when we put the path in at the park, the determination was that the village determines whether it gets cleared in winter or not. So for example, the multi-use path we have that was recently done in Jake's Park, we either decide that we're going to clear that in winter, or we decide we're not compelled to, nor are any private property owners compelled to clear that path.
Without doing research, my impression is, number one, if it's strictly a sidewalk, it's the responsibility of property owners. If it is a multi-use path, arguably it's a combination of village property and sidewalk to the extent that pedestrians use it. Wisconsin law is such that municipalities have immunity from any slip and fall accidents if in fact the injured individual can prove that the snow had been there for 3 weeks or longer. So the answer to your question is the village can postpone and give lower priority to the removal of snow in the multi-use path, but ultimately liability remains there because it can be argued that it's still village property.
They don't clear the bug line.
As I was just gonna bring that up, there's
Yeah.
no winter maintenance at all on the bug line,
Uh,
which is county land.
Either we've been lucky or nobody has been injured,
Spoken like
there
a
are
lawyer.
lot of pathways in recreational areas that aren't cleared. And it's just a question of a claim being pressed when there's a serious injury. And my rule of thumb is the closer you are to roadway and heavy traffic, the greater the likelihood of a claim.
Snowmobilers do a great job of finding that path.
Yeah.
When there's enough sun for them.
Alright, so what's best for the residents then? Is the multi-use path best for the residents or is the sidewalks best?
So what's the cost difference?
Right.
That we're considering? So what's our 20% of the additional 50% of the almost covered?
So essentially, with the 2 5-foot sidewalks, we're looking at 20% of 2 5-foot wide sidewalks.
Yep.
If we go the other direction, it's an asphalt path. Asphalt is less expensive than concrete. But we're looking at essentially 100% of 5 feet of it and 20% of the other 5 feet of it. So we're looking at whatever that is, 60% of the cost of the multi-use path.
Plus the land acquisition issues.
Plus the
Expenses.
longevity and maintenance of asphalt versus concrete.
And
I'm still leaning towards sidewalks.
for us to clear it and everything, you've pretty much talked me out of that entirely.
Yeah.
I think the bike path is a nice idea, but I think it's cost prohibitive. And if it comes down to the village having to have that plowed, that's going to be a small truck. Or type of UTV like Sussex has got, which is another expense.
Those aren't allowed in land.
Yeah,
It's like fireworks.
so
Still like their sidewalk.
I think in our current position,
on the right path.
that housing development is a few years out. To get Good Hope Road itself done. I'd like to see the bike path, but I don't think it's really in our budget. Or our timeframe to get Good Hope done.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the sidewalks for one.
And
I think there's gonna be plenty of accommodation there for biking, pedestrian traffic. The levels that we expect to see.
So there, and I don't know if anybody else had any other questions, but I'll just, 2 other things of information that came through. Aaron and his team did an initial cost assessment. Again, this is very initial, very conceptual. By no means does this mean that this is what it will be. But we're still in that $5 to $6 million range, which is kind of what was punched at or hinted at initially. So we're still right within that range based upon their 30% forecasting. So ours is 20% of that. And then the other thing is they did design to put together these postcards that will go out into the mail shortly today.
Yes.
They went out today to 280 property owners that are
280 people in the corridor. Like I sent you the map,
Yeah.
but we just kind of offset the lines a little bit and roughly, I think it's like 265, and then once we add in public officials, we're around 280 for invites. I know you talked about posting some yard signs and here on campus and maybe on some of the parks. And then we can put together a graphic for a Facebook post to try to advertise it more and get good feedback, but we'll be here on the 25th.
Awesome.
5 to 7. So we'll have some easels out with some of the typical sections and data. We'll have this long plot, several copies of it. We would then probably say on the sidewalk option that that's like our recommended or preferred alternative and identify that and maybe state, we'll still show the path that we studied it and show that we're eliminating it from consideration for several of the reasons discussed here tonight. And we'll see what the public's response is to that.
So do you request any action? Would you like me to make a motion or a roll call vote on the preference, or can we just table that agenda item?
Personally, it doesn't need to be tabled. I think my desire was just to get everybody's feedback on the matter and just to know generally which of the two is supported. Sounds like either one would be a win for us.
So you don't need.
Well, in my opinion, is based on tonight's discussion that it does seem that the sidewalk is the more viable option.
Okay, well, there's your unanimous opinion then.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, so I think you've got the feedback you were looking for. We'll move forward in that direction and hopefully see some folks here on the 25th.
nice job, guys.
All right, well, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate your time tonight. And
Yeah,
So
thank
we
you.
want to leave this behind or take it with?
What's the risk if he leaves it here that it disappears between now and the 25th?
Well, there's an election tomorrow.
You know.
Oh, well,
yeah,
I'll roll it up.
Yeah, and to be honest, you can't really see a lot from it.
It's better than the thing in my eyes are
For
too
a
old
lady-
for this one.
It's
Look at
some,
that.
it's some thin pink line that
Yeah.
doesn't.
We'll be here. We'll have a team to explain it to everyone on
Yeah.
the 25th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's an election tomorrow, so.
I'll move it out of here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we at? 13 here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, discussion of possible action on approval of the fire contract amendment with Menominee Falls. I think you guys have all heard a little bit about this. So I had hoped to get stuff early enough in time to get into the packets, but that was not the case. What I did get is a spreadsheet. There's several pages of it, but what I want to point out to you first is Chief Pulvermacher's notes to me on the second to last page. In an email, he kind of spelled out some things. He addressed some of the things that I had mentioned in my couple of discussions with him and Mark Fitzgerald, that I anticipated to be concerns and or objections. And so they've tried to address some of those talking points that I brought up to them. The pages that he sent over, though, are not in the same order you would anticipate in this first paragraph. Anticipated contract fee for 27 if using the new fee formula. I think this first page is actually, oh wait, no, you rearranged them. Or maybe I just arranged them incorrectly when I saved put mine together. This makes a lot more sense. Okay. Yep, so never mind. You see what their projected 27 number would be. Using this new calculation formula, because they also agreed to start out doing the 3-year average right out of the gate, rather than in the previous meeting I had indicated that their thoughts were to do. They would just do an estimated charge for 27, and then in years 2 and 3 there would be actual charges using the new formula, and then starting in year 4 they would do a 3-year mean was what they had initially proposed. Now what they've got is a 3-year average starting immediately. So that along with the additional data points that I think are, we addressed at some length last time. Should help to smooth out the curve on this stuff and smooth out the dramatic jumps in cost, because we know they're not gonna go down, so. So using, if they used the, so on the fourth page, I think it is, yeah. So if they went forward using the current calculation, you'll see the anticipated cost next year. Using strictly the new data points would be 506, which is that's an increase of about $40,000 over this year.
Mhm.
Versus the averaged cost using these new metrics comes out to 468 for next year, which is an increase of about $3,000 over 26 numbers. So some immediate relief, and then a smoother anticipated curve going forward.
Oh, it's something.
Is it 470 this year, or what is the
465?
465 is this year
Yes.
actual?
So if you look at the 26, the second page, you see what 26 would have been if we were under this current agreement.
Do we get a credit back for the $70,000? I have to ask. If I didn't, Jim would have.
Well, and trust me, I thought the same thing initially, but I did not ask.
So I don't have the benefit of having that information in front of me, so I'm gonna have to rely on your discussion.
I just emailed it to you, Jim. Sorry.
You just did?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have
I mean, I
access
don't know if he has access.
to your
but-
email, Jim?
So essentially what this is showing, with our current cost of $465,000. If they were to continue charging based upon the same fee structure that they did for 2026. The 2027 cost would go up from 465 to 506, $506,175. So
If-
to Patrick's point,
Right.
if they don't change it.
Yep.
But it sounds like they're going to change it, whether or not we agree to it, which turns to be in our favor. Because from 465, it'll go up to 468, $144. So a $3,000 increase is better than a 40 some odd $1,000 increase.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Was there any discussion about our request to cap by a percent basis of how much of our total levy that we could say, we would do this formula with a not to exceed of 50% of our total budget?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
And it was a very short and direct answer.
No.
And it was, there is no way our board will ever allow you to sequester part of our budget.
Okay.
Well, it's worth asking.
Yep.
And we kind of knew what the answer was gonna be when
I
we asked you to.
anticipated the
Yeah,
answer.
exactly.
I asked it.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah, so their thought is, they basically by us putting a cap on it or something, then they're left holding the bag to pick up the difference. Right, and they don't. I think their position is that, look, they're trying to create the most equitable conditions that they can. But they've got obligations and responsibilities as well, and so.
So to what extent does the Village of Menominee Falls Board put budgetary constraints on the fire department? Certainly, it's not an open book for them to.
Right.
I mean, certainly they couldn't come and say, we want $20 million next year.
Well, they could, but I mean, I doubt, that's never gonna get passed either, right? So I don't have the insight into their budgeting process. What I do know is that it's a bit different than it is here, because they have a village administrator. Mark Fitzgerald works with some of those department heads and he puts together the entire budget. And then that gets presented to the board for approval. So it's a little different than our process where we do kind of more of a
There's a lot of
collaborative.
backdoor negotiating versus all the open book stuff that we do.
Possibly.
Mhm.
Possibly.
Well, it feels like the relationship between the Menominee Falls Village Board and the Menominee Falls Fire Department is one that, well, without describing it, I see it distinctly different between the Land and Village Board and then, we are contracting with them because we request the service and we are saying please and thank you. And it's a little bit, the relationship is different. It's like an employer-employee versus a married couple, and it's, we are not going to hold the same amount of power over the village of the Menominee Falls Fire Department that maybe the village of Menominee Falls itself may hold. And I don't think we should be expected to have that influence on them. They know we have to go somewhere for services and we don't have very many options.
Right. And I don't get the sense that they're,
Holding us over a barrel. I don't think that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have always said, my position has always been, one of the things that I didn't like about the contract, other than. Just two primary things. We have no control over their budget. That's the biggest thing. And we had no real visibility into that. There's no real transparency and we have no say in it, right? So those have always been my concerns. So I think that, again, I'm appreciative that they have put so much effort into trying to formulate a more equitable methodology that's more consistent with how our community specifically has changed over the last 10 years.
Mhm.
Theirs has just been snowballing right along for however long. We doubled in size.
Right. And I still do appreciate the fact that the capital expenses are based on, part of one.
Very small.
Yeah, a part of one firehouse which services us. I mean, if they really wanted to, according to the contract that was signed back before any of us were there, they could have included the capital expenditures for the entire fire department rather than, I think that they have been really fair and I appreciate, Patrick, you going and negotiating a somewhat better deal. I know it's not ideal.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything earth shattering. I didn't expect anything.
Right.
So this has exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
That they were willing to, entertain this at all, frankly, because they didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I was, I think that was good of them.
So
it has become so much more commonplace for a fire department to expand because it's unrealistic for a small community. And spending a couple days a week in Butler, I hear the issues they have. And they're paying $120 grand more, plus they are billed for everything every fire inspection is billed at all. And their average response time is 9 minutes. I got heart issues. Something happens, I got 6. So we do get a great service. Lisbon kept their response time down because they have a fire department in their firehouse. But Lisbon, as big as that community is, couldn't keep their department, wasn't survivable. And I think what they're trying to do is come up with a model, and they're gonna use land as an example. When Butler's contract is up, it's gonna be a bargaining chip for them. Look, we were fair to these people. And Joe Overmacher started out in Butler. He came from a small department, and I think he appreciates a small village. And as Patrick said, they didn't have to do this.
Mhm. So Patrick, what action would you request? Would you like to have a motion that we approve the fire contract amendment? I mean, we don't seem to have an amendment drawn, right? So would we authorize you to review?
And work with council to incorporate this new proposed calculation method.
As an addendum to the contract.
As an addendum or an amendment to the existing contract.
I so move.
I'll second.
Excellent.
Give it to Dana.
We have a motion, a second, any other discussion?
Thank you very much for the efforts on the
Yes.
behalf of the
Yeah.
village. Thank you,
Chief-
Patrick.
Chief put in a lot of work. Putting this together for us.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's better than any one of us could have expected.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome, thank you. Appreciate it, everyone.
Yet another unanimous vote.
Yeah, need a brief tinkle recess.
May the record show. Trustee Summers needs to tinkle.
You have to vote on that?
Whoa. Do a roll call vote on that.
He'd veto us anyway.
No.
Oh God, I am so tired tonight.
Any thoughts about the time I gotta give him a break?
This honey, did you collect this?
Mhm.
It's from your hive?
And it is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good stuff.
I'll bring you some I stole from my neighbor's hive tomorrow.
I brought you some, right, Patrick? I brought you a jar.
That bad?
Not this batch. Yeah, I got you.
He's got me some.
Yeah. So I extracted about 3 weeks ago and it was good. It was good honey, but this stuff that I took off the other day, it's just, I've never tasted anything like it. It's just that good.
Yeah, you can tell visually, it's so much lighter.
It's so light. It's almost minty and citrusy. It's really got a complex flavor. I'm gonna get you a jar too, Terry. I don't have enough with me tonight, but yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. Hector recommends a toasted sourdough English muffin with butter and then warm honey. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've, my brother-in-law has hives and he pours this stuff too, but he's had some issues the last couple of years.
I can't keep them through the winter. Yeah, I can't keep them over winter. I have literally built buildings around them, trying to insulate them from the cold, and it's just So one of the things I did this year, which is different, is there's a varroa mite that's really weakening the hives. And in order to treat them, you have to put a pesticide in the hive, which I hate doing. And well, and so in the.
What you do, we appreciate.
No, thank you. Good to see you guys. Good night.
Sign in next.
No.
That's by now.
Not excuse.
All right, continue.
Okay, item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding approval of operators licenses. Looks like these were all okayed by the chief. They're all paid.
Yeah.
All right, I will make a motion then with everyone's approval. We'll go through these. I make a motion to approve Elizabeth Markowski for the license to serve fermented malt beverages and intoxicating liquors. Nicole Westland. Teresa Black. Caitlin Acker. Caitlin Sheehan.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, discussion and possible action on payment of the bills.
I will make a motion that we pay the bills as presented by Brenda earlier this evening.
And I will second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, engineers report. He ain't here, he ain't talking.
Maybe he's online.
I am.
Kelly, would you like to give the engineer report?
Item number 17, attorney's report.
I have no report, but my fax line is still.
It's.
Worse than that. I'm working on that.
Item number 18, president's report. I just have one item. Starting next month, we will be having Trace here as our lead counsel. I would like to thank and extend my gratitude to Hector for his many years of service to the village of Lannon. I've learned a lot from you. I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. And I truly do thank you for everything that you've done for the village.
Here.
Here.
Happy. My 2 years, I wouldn't have survived it without you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we saw the billings. No.
That was beautiful.
Stepping away from this one.
You're actually gonna start to retire. Well, let me put it this way, Trace, who has been shadowing me, I think is ready to be the lead attorney. I do not wish to have my change of position characterized as a retirement. I have agreed to take assignments from Trace to try to bridge any gaps that he may experience. I've been in this position, I think, at least 15 years, and there's some institutional knowledge which I think I can contribute.
Mhm.
And I think when he had the conflict, I can fill in. I have to tell you that I thoroughly enjoy working with you. You exemplify what every community should have. Volunteers who spend time with very little reward and sometimes unfounded criticism from people who are new to the scene, who just make assumptions about how things work, and they don't propel themselves on their own. it takes people like you to sit down, study, and make hard decisions like you went through tonight. And as I indicated, you truly are a deliberative body. And I think that good local government is what's gonna carry us through into the future. So thank you for your support and your cooperation. I'm not going away, it's just that I'm gonna come back less frequently.
You no longer love us that much?
I remember when you first came on. On the first little term.
Oh, yeah. You were there.
Yes, I was. Fiery.
And my fax line does still work. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I think we should give that to all the applause. Thank you, Doctor. I mean, I'm looking to adjourn.
Second that one.
Motion and seconded, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, we are adjourned.